Oh, Monday night! Oh, yeah! What happened to Hank Williams? That's what I want to know. Where did Hank Williams go to? But, nonetheless, Sean is jet-setting once again to Belfast, Maine. And I am here to bring you this week's What to Watch for Week 11 in the NFL season. Now, if you look at the matchups here this week, we have 2 games that are already sewn up at this point, and then we have 3 games that are still to be decided today on Monday night. Bills, Pats, 8:30 ESPN. So let's get to the games that are already been decided. First one is Ryan, who impressively will move for his 10th victory of the season. Congratulations to him. Another putrid performance from Drew's roster. Second week in a row that he is under 100 points, which is not going to win you a lot of fantasy football games in any league, but this league included, the League of Legends, certainly. The other game that has already been decided is the Adam versus Cam showdown. Unfortunately, Adam came in with a very low score. I think he's around 82 points at this point. Cam got a pretty big performance last night from Carson Palmer. Very important victory for Cam. He's really starting to solidify a solid playoff run here. He now has 7 victories on the season with this victory tonight. So big week for Cam as he continues to make that playoff push. Now let's get to the 3 games that are still to be decided. Let's start first with Dennis versus Dave. Dennis currently leads Dave by 16 points, but he has no players left to play tonight. Dave is going to try to make up those 16 points with a combination of Tom Brady, Sammy Watkins, and Shady LaShawn McCoy. So when you look at this one, Dennis right now, according to Yahoo, has a 6% chance of winning. So not 0, but certainly not very good at the same time. You got to think that Brady's strong play this year is going to be enough alone to get him the 16 points that Dave's need. And then when you want to throw in the other 2 players with Watkins and McCoy, those are really just icing on the cake in terms of adding to the cushion of this particular win. So I like Dave to win this one. I don't think there's any way that the combination of those 3 players is going to get under 16 points. So Dave's going to move to 4-7 with this victory. Dennis is going to fall to 6-5. Really a bad loss there for Dennis as he tries to make a late season run here into the playoffs. Now, the next matchup we have is Bill versus Bud. This one is currently in a dead heat. Bud actually has a .58 advantage over Bill at the moment. Bill is going to be countering tonight with Tyrod Taylor and Danny Amendola, while Bud is going to be going with our good old friend Steven Gostkowski. Now, Taylor could struggle against the Pats. He had a good game against them last time. I did pick him to be my down player from Bill's roster this week. But when you add in Amendola on top of that, I think Amendola is going to have a really strong game tonight. I think he's going to see a lot of targets and a lot of throws in his direction. So to me, I like those 2 players over Gostkowski, who we all know is the highest fantasy kicker in the game at this point. But I just don't think it's going to be enough for Bud's roster here. I think that with Amendola and Taylor seemingly in line for pretty good games, I think that's going to give him the cushion that he's going to need to hold off a decent performance here from Steven Gostkowski. It could be a little bit closer than what people may think, but I'm going to go with Bill to win this one. He's going to win his 4th straight game, move to 4-7 on the season, while Bud, like Dennis, is going to fall to 6-5 with a really tough loss this particular week. Now, arguably the most intriguing matchup going into tonight's ball game is Sean, our commissioner, Jet Setter Sean, versus Steve. Now, Steve right now comes into this matchup here with 22.2 in terms of an advantage over Sean. Steve, unfortunately, is done for the week, while Sean is going to be countering with LeGarrette Blount and Robert Gronkowski tonight. Sean was really put in a good position to win this ball game as a result of the performance from Andy Dalton last night. That was a real shootout towards the end of the game. Didn't seem like it would be a good game, but Cincinnati was pretty resilient, came back a couple of times in the ball game, and Andy Dalton was able to put up a nice 22-point performance. So that really helped Sean. It really helped narrow the gap as he's trying to catch Steve. When you look at the two guys Sean has left to play, LeGarrette Blount last time out against Buffalo had 2 carries for 4 yards. Now, granted, Dion Lewis was in the lineup at that point for the Patriots. The Patriots offense has certainly taken injuries have taken a toll on the Patriots offensive side of the ball right now. So you got to think Blount is going to be utilized much more than 2 carries for 4 yards. I do wonder how effective he's going to be in this game. Buffalo's defensive line is pretty solid, although they haven't played that way, particularly this year. So I'm anticipating around 10 to 12 points for LeGarrette Blount. I don't think he's going to have a huge game. I don't think he's going to do what he did last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. But I think Blount, 10 to 12 points is pretty conservative there for his totals. Now, Rob Gronkowski, looking at the stats from last time he played against Buffalo, had 7 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown. You got to think now with Edelman and Lewis not there, Gronk's going to have to be involved in the offense a little bit more than maybe they have been using him the last couple of weeks. Certainly he had that big touchdown last week against the Giants. I like for Gronkowski to have a really strong game this week. I'm foreseeing somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 points for the big fella alone. So when you add in that and LeGarrette Blount's performance tonight, or impending performance, I think Sean's going to get this victory. I think he is going to move on with a win by the skin of his teeth. He will improve to 5-6 on the season, while Steve, unfortunately, is going to fall to 2-9. Valiant effort for Steve going up against Sean, who is trying to make the playoffs. Certainly, Steve is really in win next year type of mode. But nonetheless, Sean will win this one and move to 5-6. Now, I hope you enjoy the game tonight. We also got the Bruins, so we got double dip duty tonight. Hopefully it'll be a good night for Boston sports. We'd like to think so. And as always, enjoy the action.